Many thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video.
Good day everyone, and welcome back to the Explorer for another video. Today I am finally building the final version of the 10 minutes transmitter, just because every time I'm building all these projects for the videos, I'm trying different circuits, and once I order the PCB boards, I never get the chance to actually finish the final version for myself as well. So today I'd like to take care of that. I'll show you really quick what I've done so far, and we'll make a couple of tests, and I'll explain a few things about the transmitter, and hopefully I'll have a transmitter that it's very versatile and will work on many frequencies with all sort of crystals. And now, of course, if you remember from the project that I presented some while ago on the breadboard, I did not use a low pass filter, so I will not use a low pass filter for the tests in this video either. But remember, if you want to get on air, you will have to have a particular low pass filter for the frequency that you're using, depending on the crystal that you're using. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. This is one of my favorite transmitters, together with the minimalist CW transmitter. But this one I like because it's very versatile, since it can work with many crystals. Of course, depending on the value of the variable capacitor that you're using. I don't have 1000 picofarads variable capacitor as required in the original schematic, but I hope I can cover still a lot of frequencies with the variable capacitor that I have available. But of course, I will not continue without saying thank you to my friends at PCBWay for sponsoring and supporting the DX Explorer channel. Remember, they have great PCB prototyping services, PCB assembly services, CNC, 3D printing, SMD stencils, and a lot more services available for you. If you don't have an account for PCBWay and you'd like to order any of the PCB boards that I'm presenting here in the videos, remember you have a link down in the video description that you can use, and you'll get a discount on your first order. As I'm always saying, PCBWay is the way. Well, I know that you might not be as excited as I am, just because I think it's the third video that I'm making on this transmitter. But I'm happy that I finally find the time to build the final version. It's very simple transmitter, just two capacitors, one resistor, one inductor, a transistor, and a crystal, and that's it. That's all you need to build a nice CW transmitter. As I was saying, it's very versatile. It can be used for many frequencies, as I was also saying in an older video. Just make sure that you are using heatsink on the transistor, because it's heating up quite a bit. And on the screen you can see the very simple and basic schematic of this transmitter, and yeah, it's really not much to say. One thing that I want to mention, I know from what I experienced in the past by building this transmitter a couple of times, if you remember in the last video, the power output wasn't that great on all the frequencies. So I remembered something. Try to use 0.5 watts resistor and an inductor 100 microhenry that is a little bit bigger, not the really tiny ones, just so we can take a little bit more current. Or if you build an RF choke which is hand winded on a toroid, it's even better. That one will take even more current, and I believe that will influence the power output. Also the capacitors, these are the only ones that I had available, but if you have bigger ones in size, those will be great as well. And from my experience, that influenced the power output as well. So again, great quality PCB board from PCBWay. Of course, it's something very simple and very basic, but I I cannot stress enough about how happy I am about the quality of the board that I'm getting. So yeah, basically all I have in here, it's 12 volts power in. Over here I have the key, I have this connector that I'm going to use. Now probably I'm going to put this one in an enclosure, we'll see. I'm still thinking maybe I'll put it on a piece of wood and keep it inside so I can admire it, and also it will be easy for me to change the crystals. Over here I have the connections for the variable capacitor. This is the one that I'm using. I wish I had a bigger value, but I don't. So I'm just going to use this one. It's the last one that I had from this collection of variable capacitors. I ran out of this. And of course over here I have the antenna connection. The crystals, for the crystal, if you know those little sockets that you have for the to install IC circuits on the board, I removed 2 of those pins from the socket and I soldered them instead of the crystal, and this allows me to change the crystals very easy depending on what frequency I would like to use. So yeah, I'm very excited about this one. Again, I will stress you, if you use it on air, please use a low pass filter on the output, because the signal that you're getting, it's a nice close sine wave, but it has distortions, and that will create harmonics, and you don't want to get on air with a lot of harmonics, because you will bother other people on other bands. So we will also transmit, instead of just 7 megahertz, it will also transmit on 14, on 21 megahertz, and so on. So you don't want that. That's it. Let's put it together really quick and make a quick test to see what results we get with this one. Well, outside is raining. It started raining by the time I finished setting up everything. So I have the variable capacitor over here. By the way, the total capacity of the variable capacitor that I'm using, it's somewhere around 665 picofarads, and the minimum capacity, I believe it's 12 picofarads. I have everything over here ready to go. Right now I'm testing a crystal on the 80 meters band, and I connected the True SDX through the laptop, so you get to hear it, and we'll move the camera on the power meter, so you hear the power output to see it actually. It sounds really nice. The hiss that you hear at the beginning is not the transmitter, it's actually the filter from the True SDX, because the signal coming from leaking from the dummy load received by the True SDX, it's a little bit strong, and it takes a little bit of time to adapt to the strength of the signal. Alright, let's move on to the power meter. Now I apologize for the light, but I'm trying to keep it a little bit higher so you see the power output. I'll have to look in the older video because I can't remember the power output that I was getting on the 80 meters band, but look what I get with this one. I'm on the 10 watt scale because the power output is going just a little bit over 1 watt. And I can even get more power output, but I thought it becomes chirpy. It's a little bit over 1 watt. Okay, now I'm going to change the crystal for the 160 meters band, and I apologize, we don't get to listen because I don't have a receiver for the 160 meters band, but I'll work on the future Charles Kitchen receiver that I'm planning to make it multi-band, and I'll try to cover all the ham radio bands from 160 meters up to the 10 meters band. So anyway, let's see the 160 meter crystal. Yeah, for this one I think I need a little bit more capacity. Right now, wait, I have to change the scale. So with the capacitor at the maximum value, I'm getting around nearly 500 milliwatts, but I believe and I think that's what I'm going to do in the final version. On the front panel next to the variable capacitor, I will place a switch and switch in some extra capacity, maybe like 400 picofarads, 500 picofarads maybe, that will allow me to go with a total value over 1000 picofarads, and probably that will allow me to get a better power output on the 160 meters band as well. Now let's check the crystal for the 20 meters band. I don't have a crystal for the 40 meters band anymore, and I don't have any other crystals for the other bands, but let's see. Maybe I should listen. I'm changing the frequency on the True SDX. Let's see. I have to change the tuning range. And here it becomes chirpy, so I have to be careful with the power output. The idea is to get the best power output with a clean sounding signal and also the best power output, but of course I'm not going to go over the edge trying to get the maximum power output, because then I'll have distortions and chirp. You hear the chirp and it's changing frequency, so that means the either the crystal or the transistor are overheating. Now the capacity is too small and is not oscillating properly. Not good. If you hear that it's moving in frequency, it's drifting, that means it's not okay. Here it should be almost done. Nope. Still drifting a little bit. Okay, so here it sounds perfect and I don't seem to get any chirp, so still drifting a little bit. Maybe I have to adjust it a little bit more. you can hear that the signal has a little bit of distortion. Anyway, we're getting somewhere around 600 milliwatts, so it's not bad for the 20 meters band. I believe that the higher we go in frequency, probably the power gets a little bit lower, but it's not bad. Probably with better adjustments, I get better results. Not bad. So it sounds nice. I like it. I really like it, and I'm really happy that I get a little bit more power output compared to the version that I built on the breadboard. Now I've rearranged the components on the PCB board. If you go to order the board, you'll see the updated version. Yeah, I'm happy. So remember, I'm not sure what I put in the boom file. I'll try to replace the components with something of a larger size if I can find any. I'm really bad searching components online, mostly because most of the stuff that I'm building, it's built using the recovered components from older boards. And yeah, it seems that the size of the components does influence the power output. So yeah, I wonder if I would build an RF choke by hand, if I could increase the power output even more. But then probably I will overdrive the transistor and the crystal, and it won't be so good. If I had crystals like the big ones, but I really wish I had some of those, like a set of those big crystals, that the vintage ones, those can take a lot more current, and probably I would build a bigger version, and I will get better power output. But still, it's not bad for such a simple transmitter. So anyway, that's it for today's video. I'm really happy. Now I can place it on a piece of wood, probably build a front panel and a back panel, so I can do all the connections. I'll do that extra capacitor that I was speaking about on the front panel, so I can also tune down on the 160 meters band. And there you go, I have one transmitter for all I need. It's bandpass filters for each particular band that I'm planning to use, and this is it. Tiny but mighty. 10 minutes transmitter. It's one project. I think it's the first transmitter that I tried and I built, and I found it originally on the Solder Smoke blog, one of the blogs that I'm reading a lot, and I'm watching the videos on YouTube. So yeah, go ahead, have a look over there, because you'll find some interesting projects as well. So anyway, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video towards the end of the week. Until then, thank you again for watching. 73 from Yankee Oscar 6 Delta X-Ray Echo.